Welcome back to the Means Report, everybody. Happy you are staying with us. And if you have a man in your life who you love, or if you are a man, you really need to pay attention to this next segment, because there is something so fun that is coming up in just a few short weeks. You'll want to take advantage of it, get a chance to check out some cool cars and get some free things and have a wonderful portion of your Saturday. In fact, there's probably not a smarter or better way you can spend a bit of your weekend in the early, hopefully cooler days of September. It is Gentlemen Start Your Engines 2011. It's coming up on September 10th. Yes, I know that is Georgia, Carolina, or Carolina, Georgia Day. I get it. Doctors Hospital gets it, and the event will conclude in time for kickoff. Dr. Mark Newton is kind enough to join us from Doctors Hospital on the set of the Means Report. Dr. Newton, I see you on TV all the time because you've been commenting on heat-related problems. Thanks for coming in the AC and being with us today.
Yeah, it's much more comfortable.
It is much more comfortable. I love it.
Used to the heat of the ER, but this is a good time.
This is just kind of nice just to rest for a second and talk about some issues really that are very important to men. And this Gentlemen Start Your Engines event last year with huge attendance, more than 3,000 showed up at Warren Baptist Church. Indicates that a lot of men do have their health on their minds, but that's really not the primary reason to come out to Warren Baptist. Tell us about this car show and what kind of things will be on display for men to check out.
Well, that's the thing I love about it, is that the guys are real reluctant to admit that they need to take care of their health. They need to check things early before it's a crisis, before it's an emergency where I live. So they need to get out, but they're real reluctant to. They don't have the people harping on them about their mammograms or their pap smears or whatever it is, like the women are so good to catch early and do the health screening and get the peace of mind that comes from knowing that things are okay. So we need guys to come out and do that. The good thing about it is that by making it a car show, we're really just going to a car show, and the health is just, we'll take it as a byproduct. But I know the women in the lives of those men you're talking about, they'll want to encourage them. The kids, look at your kids and think about it and say, I'll do it for them. If not for me, I've got life insurance. I've had a guy tell me that today. I've got life insurance. I'm not worried about it. But it's so much more than just your life at stake here. You've got your health, and just like a car, which is the analogy, you want to keep your car running great. You don't want it to just have 2 gears out of 5 working. You want to keep it running fully as good as it can, and it's a great opportunity to make sure that those gauges are telling you the right thing, and that's what we got a lot of.
And Warren Baptist has a great setup too. You drive past it on Washington Road, you see their huge parking lot, and it's going to have some awesome cars in it. Check them out on Saturday, September 10th. Why do we, as a rule, men, care so much for cars and for things like that and keep them running smoothly, but put our health second? Is it fear? What sometimes keeps us away from the doctor's office?
There's a certain amount of it that I think is fear. We're not sure. We're out of our element. With a car, some of us grew up changing spark plugs and checking timing and things, which I don't know if I'd recommend nowadays with the computers. Yeah. But we'll have some of the older ones there for people to see, the ones they may have grown up tinkering with. So that'll be great. I think there's a little bit of fear because we're not sure what will happen next. So it's out of our element. Mm-hmm. But you got to remember, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for other people too who depend on you. And so it's a Saturday, it's a convenient time, it's a good time because of all the ancillary things going on, but it's a time you can go do your part to make sure your health stays where it ought to be and as good as it can be.
Talk about some of the screenings that are going to be available. Something as simple as blood pressure can tell so much about you. That'll be available. And what are some other things where men might want to kind of stop by those booths while they're checking out the cars?
A lot of these things are things that you could get checked either at your doctor if you scheduled it. Guys aren't good about that. Scheduling it. Blood pressure, you could check it at some of the local pharmacies or some of the ERs that might help you do that, or even at home. What it is just a concentrated time. We can go and get all this out of the way. You've got the prostate screening exam. This is just a real quick blood test that we do. It just gives you a good indication there that things are going smoothly. You've got your blood count, which just tells you, do you need more iron, do you need more protein, more vegetables or something, or do you need something else double checked? So it's kind of like the gauges in the cars back when, they have a lot of lights now, and like I mentioned with the computers, you don't know anything, but you'd like to see a gauge. You'd like to catch something before it's in the red zone. It's like I'd rather catch my oil pressure when it's going a little low and then go check it, rather than wait until what we call the idiot lights now, before those come on.
Yeah.
And now it's a disaster and you have to pull over or go to the ER in the case of our health. You don't want to wait until then. So there's your blood work, there's your lipid panel or cholesterol screening. There's more than just cholesterol. So we get that done. There's several, the blood pressure check, like you mentioned, a basic, there's some help with how to do some screening for colon cancer, which is a leading killer, but it's also one that if caught early, lots can be done to prevent anything long term.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to address, because as a physician you see sometimes that the tests don't go as positively as you hoped they would, and so men, if you are fearful of what that test might show, Dr. Newton, tell us about the importance of catching things early, because just because something comes back and there's a concern doesn't mean you all can't address it and fix it, right?
Right. There's several of these things that there's a normal range, which is 95% of the people. Well, almost by definition, 5% are going to be on the edges, still within what we would call normal or have a good reason for what's going on. So, I mean, the tests these are not perfect tests, and there are no perfect tests. They're just very helpful. Just like those gauges I was mentioning on your temperature and all. It may not be perfect, but it's a great indicator. And plus, if you need antifreeze, or if you need, if something's needed for your car, you go and do it when you get the warning signs, maybe even just before it gets into the red zone. A lot of these things that we're checking are things that we can do something about without completely disrupting your life, without having to put you in the hospital from the emergency room. And we're there for people. We want to be there for people when they have something unexpected. But at the same time, if you can avoid it, I know for myself, I'd much rather check things when they're small, get them taken care of before it's a problem. So that's the good thing about a lot of these screening tests.
Do you see a lot of medical ailments that are being treated with diet and exercise, and perhaps a prescription? In other words, if somebody can just start medication or change their lifestyle, that's enough to change their health?
That can make a big thing. Now we don't want to harp too much on, people don't want to hear diet and exercise.
No.
But I'd rather hear it now when I can still make a difference than 6 months or a year from now when the cumulative events have come together and now I've got a real problem. I'd rather know about it early, fix it when it's early, and then be able to avoid something that would have happened to your blood pressure. Is the classic example, because they call it the silent killer. Unfortunately, it doesn't just kill you sometimes. Sometimes it disables you long before it kills you, and none of us want to be disabled anymore. I mean, we're all going to get older, but at the same time, if we can keep the things running, everything running well, that's just a lot more comfort for us, comfort for our family, the employees or employer or the kids or grandkids that are dependent on us. It's just crucial.
Are you seeing a lot of heat-related ailments in the emergency room at Doctors Hospital? And if so, describe the kind of things and the ages of some of these patients who are presenting to you.
We have seen heat-related illnesses can affect the very young and the very old.
Really?
Partly because the mechanisms for dealing with the heat aren't as good. We're not seeing as many as we did a little earlier, even though it's hot now. People have had time to get acclimated a little better earlier in the year, and of course as football season started, there's a certain category that was very difficult with that too. Difficulty with the heat and the exertion.
They weren't ready for it.
I think people are getting better about keeping the water, alternating the water and the Gatorade, staying hydrated for one thing, knowing to look for the warning signs of the flushed skin or even, frankly, the lack of sweating that can occur, or that cold sweat that happens. So I think people are looking for some of the warning signs, the little bit of confusion that somebody gets right, prior to being heat stroke, but maybe in a heat exhaustion thing. I think employers, the military, everybody is paying a good attention to it, and they're getting, coaches, and they're getting kids or people or adults out of the danger zone. Once again, it's another example of better a little bit of prevention when it's early, before having to call an ambulance or before having to go to the emergency department. Better to take care of it early, and I think people are doing a better job with that. We have seen people, we're checking them for the kidney damage, the heart damage, the other muscle and liver damage that can come from excessive heat exposure. But so far we're having good results with people responding to some fluids. We give them IV in the ER naturally, but people are doing a good job with, I think, avoiding some of the stress.
How are your wait times in the ER these days? People always wonder about that, and Doctors has a good track record of being fast.
a little different subject than what we started with,
Yeah.
but it's something where I'm very comfortable because I know our wait times have been excellent, really. I mean, we concentrate on that. We really look at ourselves. We're dealing with an individual, and we've got board-certified physicians and great nurses, techs, registration people, everybody. It's a full team with radiology and lab and everything to provide emergency care. But emergency care that comes 2 or 3 hours from now is not our definition of excellent care. We want to give excellent care, and frankly, when I need it, I want excellent care. And a piece of that is getting the times down. I think we were at 24 minutes as an average. That doesn't mean everybody's seeing within 24 minutes. Some, if your heart stops or if you got an irregularity,
you get
0
in front of the
minutes
line.
away.
Yeah.
But at the same time, by concentrating on it, we don't want to concentrate just on numbers because we're still people dealing with people, or professionals dealing with illnesses that people have, fellow human beings. And so we want to take care of people, which is what we do. But once again, we don't want to get lackadaisical and say time is not important, that number is not important. We know it's important if it's someone's wife that's having a problem, or some wife's husband's having problems, or somebody's dad's having a problem. They want them taken care of by somebody competent, but they also want it pretty quick.
Well,
and so
it makes a big difference, and I couldn't let you appear here without talking about it, because I know there's been a big effort underway to address that, and it's working. Gentlemen, Start Your Engines is coming up on September 10th. It's a car show, primarily men, so just focus on it as that. And also, there are free health screenings. Tons of stuff you can get checked without spending a dime. Why not? 10 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. For more information, you can call the good folks at Doctors Hospital, 706-651-6205. And yeah, Mark, you're done before kickoff, so there's no reason not to show up, right?
I think it's a wise thing to do.
I think so too. Mark Newton, the Medical Director of Emergency Services at Doctors Hospital, thank you for your time.
Glad to be here.
When we come back on the Means Report, how you can help shape our future broadcasts, and watch this one on your computer, as well as all the Means Report episodes. Stay with us.